Cecil, here we are, 2 times in one day.
Absolutely.
This is a record.
Yeah, it's like American Idol. It's got the pre-show and then the competition show.
And we'll be doing this every day, every week from now until the football season.
Right. Well, fortunately, spring football's over.
It is over, and today, well, 2 things before we start talking about the scrimmage itself. Number 1, weather held out.
It did. Sprinkled just a little bit this morning, but
as far as the game itself,
pretty pleasant at the
game. The sun broke through the clouds a couple times, and secondly, 80,000 plus.
84,050.
That's
the official attendance.
Great
turnout.
Crowd,
absolutely.
What was the environment in there? Give me some of the.
It was good. It was good. I know a lot of the people watching on television didn't get to see some of the early fireworks. Julio Jones with a long touchdown catch from Greg McElroy. Marquise Mays had a long catch early on, then it settled into kind of a defensive struggle. Couldn't run the ball, which is understandable in a scrimmage situation.
So the TV crowd did miss the 52-yard. As
far as I know, obviously I'm sitting there watching live, so I don't know when the telecast
Celtics
switches. But I think the first touchdown to Julio Jones was not.
So Tommy D's is eating beans right now.
Yeah. Obviously.
Not representing the Tuscaloosa News in fine fashion.
That's all right.
Well, you guys have a streak going, because I know you ate beans a couple years ago,
Absolutely.
And now Tommy D's is eating beans.
Yeah, there you go.
What's going on? Do I need to step up and start
rectify?
You need some steak?
We'll get you the spot next year if possible.
Co-MVPs were?
Marquise Mays, who really had most of the production for the white team, really had a good day, I thought. A couple of long catches, had 2 really nice runs on reverses. Guy who sort of... I think Coach Saban's hoping he can step up in the number 2 role behind Julio, be a deep threat, be a guy. A lot of Alabama fans are familiar with him because he caught the touchdown pass against Auburn last year. But a guy with tremendous speed, escapability, can stretch the field. So, they're looking for somebody to take some of that double team pressure off Julio Jones. Marquise Mays could be the guy, and Greg McElroy, the other co-MVP. No surprise, certainly showed that he's. A lot of distance between him and any competition in the quarterback race. Yeah,
looking at Star Jackson and Thomas Dara, I mean,
it's tough. They're behind a weaker offensive line, and it's tough to evaluate, but they did struggle.
And, I mean, pounding the football, this wasn't a rushing game, obviously. I mean, you got Mark Ingram, who's out.
Right.
4 total net yards for the number 1 squad. But really, it was about putting McElroy in that situation, the offensive line. And brought up a few times on ESPN, that might be one of the best defenses that offense sees.
Could be
next season.
Could be. Coach Saban wasn't pleased with the defensive intensity, but from a talent standpoint, it'll be as good as anybody that they'll play against.
I put up a poll immediately following the scrimmage of what position do you think performed best, and linebackers by far was what won. What was your perspective?
I thought they played well. I thought Dante Hightower had a really good game. Rolando McClain, his usual. Good game. I saw Jarrell Harris make some plays, a guy that a lot of people ask about. Was a big-time recruit. Saw limited playing time as a freshman. I thought he played pretty well. Although Marcel Darius on the defensive tackle, defensive front, and I tend to look at a front 7 and how they're playing won the Most Valuable Lineman award.
People were mixed in the forums immediately as I jumped on. Some people say, hey, it's vanilla, it's a scrimmage, and some were like, we are in trouble next year. I mean, how can you remotely say that?
There's no way to judge that from a scrimmage. I've seen scrimmages, and I was at A-Day in 1979. I was at A-Day in 1992. Alabama won the national championship both those years. Nothing memorable about A-Day. Nothing at A-Day that made you say, oh, man, that's the best team in the country. They'll just, you just don't look like that. First of all, people are looking for offense. And it's not a point in the year or a format that favors very much offense. Now, you can do it. It's funny because the year Mike Price was coaching in 1993, he put all the first-team offense, basically ran them against the scout team, and it was 47-0 and all kind of big plays and everything. And everybody said, that's terrible, too. We don't want to see that. That's a terrible defense. So you can't please anybody at A-Day.
Exactly. You can't, it's tough to please in them forums. I'm glad you got to sit in and talk to some of the forum members today. That was, I think it was a treat for them to be able to sit in front of and Cecil and ask them some questions. That's anything else you want to add to this? I mean, what else?
A big recruiting day. Got to see some of the recruits in town. There was a commitment today. Not a shock. Tyler Love's brother, Wilson Love, who's an offensive lineman at Mountain Brook, but Maybe more this weekend. I wouldn't be surprised if Sunday, Monday you see at least one more player, maybe two more players commit to the Crimson Tide based on this visit. And so I thought that A-Day, you're not going to go out to A-Day and get shocked and just come out and say that was the greatest thing. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, I thought the things that people knew about the team, that Greg McElroy was ahead at quarterback, that Julio Jones is the playmaker on offense, that the defense is pretty good. I thought that's what you saw out there.
Yeah, and if you look at receiving, of course, at the top with Julio Jones with 4 catches for 73 yards and a touchdown with that 52-yard bomb, but then McCoy and Peak right 2 and 3. It's probably what you're going to see a lot during the season. You're going to see those tight ends catching those balls across the middle. And
good receivers, Peak and Brad Smelly, who I called Chris Smelly this morning. Sorry, Chris and Brad. But
that's all right. I'm sure it's happened one or two times in their lives. All right. Well, Cecil, thanks again for the 2 shows in one day.
No problem.
Action-packed, Cecil. All right. Enjoy.